May I request CA Aditya Kumar Maheshwari, Secretary EIRC, to please introduce CA Manish Dafaria, the speaker of the day.
Thank you, Haribia. So I'm reading the professional balance sheet of CA Manish Dafaria ji, the way I have received from him. And in the fixed assets of Manish Dafaria ji's balance sheet, he is a BCom, MCom, a chartered accountant, of course, MA in economics, and these are qualified from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. If I have to give the segmental reporting of his balance sheet, it will be divided into 3 segments, namely professional, academic, and author. He's a professional, for sure, a chartered accountant, managing partner of VK Dafaria and Company. On his academic front, he's a visiting faculty of IIM Indore. He's a visiting faculty of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, visiting faculty of National Academy of Direct Taxes, Nagpur and Bhopal. For sure, faculty of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for various post-qualification courses. And on the author's side, he has been a regular writer of the articles in the ICAI journal, the Chartered Accountant Today, of Taxman publication, Forum, Views, Dainik Bhaskar newspaper, and many others. And onto the special reserve in his balance sheet consists of co-opted member in Direct Tax Committee of ICAI 2014-15, nominated by CBDT as a member of Regional Direct Advisory Committee, Indore, for 2 years, 11 and 13, contributed in revising ICAI guidance note on chartered accountants, and there are many lists of it. I'm cut shorting it in the for the sake of the timing. So let we all introduce, welcome CA Manish Dafaria ji.
May I request CA Mayur Agrawal, Chairman EIRC, to please felicitate Manish Dafaria, our speaker, Dafaria. Now let us welcome CA Manish Dafaria for his speech on PGPP. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chairman EIRC of ICAI, CA Mayur Agrawal ji, I think in absentia, or he is here. Vice Chairman, if I can take the liberty of calling you Hari Bhai, sir. Secretary of EIRC, Aditya Maheshwari, कल रात को सर 12 बजे मेरी फ्लाइट कलकत्ता लैंड हुई. आई वॉज ट्रैवलिंग टू द होटल एंड सडनली at 12:30 in midnight the phone rang. Nobody else. Then Aditya was on the call. Sir, you landed safely. You are traveling. You got the cab properly or not? बहुत कम जगह ऐसा होता है सर. When say people take so good care of the speakers coming from outside, this can happen only in Calcutta, only in EIRC. Thank you very much, Aditya bhai. My co-speaker, Vivek ji, seniors in the profession, friends. I think I should also start by congratulating EIRC for starting this whole program dot on time at 2 o'clock. Not many places again this happen. I always say this thing, as a chartered accountant, as a professional, we are selling nothing but our own time only. And if we will not value our time, nobody else will. So it is very, very necessary to start the programs at least on time. I'm glad EIRC has started this tradition. Thank you very much, sir. And then thanks to Vivek ji for giving a very good start to this whole deliberation. I think I can start from where Vivek ji has left, and then I can continue about this whole topic which has been allotted to me, provisions of business and profession under the Income Tax Act 25. So this was way back 1961, where the new Income Tax Act has replaced that time 1922 Act, and those were the days of Devdas. And now from 1961, we are in the era of Dhurandhars, where we are having the new version of this Income Tax Act coming before us, 1961 to 2025. I always feel our generation of professional must be the, say, one amongst most fortunate generation, and one, say, most laborious generation also. We have seen so many transitions during our whole professional career. 2013, I can recall, where that Company Act has got changed from 56 to 2013. Then we have got this whole GST replacing excise and service tax and VAT, everything. And now the only aspect remaining, that income tax, that is also getting changed, that is also getting replaced. But then there is a very basic difference between other changes like say transition from excise or service tax to GST, and then transition from Income Tax Act 61 to 25. When GST came, it was a, say, complete change, complete morphosis kind of thing. Everything has got changed. I can recall around whole 1 year, we have discussed only the concept of supply. What exactly is going to be taxable under GST? What is supply? What is not supply? So that was a very, very fundamental kind of change. This is not the case with respect to this whole income tax. Now, the very first idea I think we need to generate with respect to my topic, which is profits and gains of business and profession, is सबकी ज़रूरत सर हमको पढ़ने कब वाली है? When this all is going to be actually relevant for all of us. Theoretically, we all know the new act is going to be in force from 1st of April 2026. But very strictly speaking, for all of us, these provisions would be of use only in the next cycle of income tax returns and next cycle of audits. This whole cycle, the upcoming cycle of returns, the upcoming cycle of say, audits, that has to be handled as per the provisions of old act only. So whatever we are going to discuss today and then say other say parts of this whole seminar, a large part of it we can simply discuss, understood, and keep it filed somewhere back of our mind. We all will be requiring this thing in the next year only. General provisions, effectively, legally they came into force on 1st of April 26, but practically speaking, from a professional perspective, the utility would only be in the next year. Though, having said so, all these TDS, TCS, advanced taxes, Vivek ji has very elaborately discussed about all those very, very interesting questions he has raised. They all will become applicable from day one itself, from 1st of April 26 itself. Okay, so that's why the two topics which Vivek ji has mentioned about this whole transitional provision, section 536 of New Income Tax Act, and this whole TDS, TCS, they are probably going to be something very, very relevant. Immediately, we will be required to develop a good understanding about them. Apart from this, all these heads of income, salary, house property, profits and gains, capital gains, etc., practically speaking, we will be requiring them at the time of, say, next year audits, next year returns only. Having said this, now what kind of changes we are looking at? From this whole 1961 to 2025, what is the, say, basic kind of change which is there? So I would say these changes are more structural kind of changes, and then probably not much of the conceptual change. As I have mentioned, not like service tax or excise to GST, where supply itself was a question to be discussed a lot. Here, the basic concept still remains same. The same concept of income, same 5 heads of income, same deduction, same old regime, new regime, returns, assessments, appeal, ITET, all basic structure remains, all basic concepts remain same. So what is changing is probably the look and feel of the whole act. The way we used to read the sections, the way we used to study the whole Income Tax Act, that look and feel is going to change. And that is what actually we need to discuss in quite detail. So if I can just summarize this whole, say, broad spectrum of changes, I can see 4 major category of changes which is happening from 61 to 2025. One is this whole great renumbering of section. that the whole learning, unlearning, and then relearning, which has become part of our professional life nowadays, so that has to be there in this case also, this whole renumbering. So what has happened over the period of time, since ages we are studying this whole income tax, and then there are good numbers which have become part of my life, in a sense part of my DNA as such. Okay, रात को 3 बजे भी कोई उठा के पूछे, या what is section 194J? So I can always give him some basic idea. Okay, it is like this, basic clarity I can always give. Now somebody starts asking me what is section 393, table number 1, serial number 62A. So this whole renumbering of section, this is the say first part of this whole understanding. So my good old 44AB is now 63, section 139 is now 263, 37 is 34, new 37 is old 43B. So this whole renumbering. So what will be required is basically a complete mental rewiring of this numbers. वो सबको वापस set करना पड़ेगा sir. Where the new provision is available under which particular section. Okay. Then a whole lot of grouping and consolidation is happening. All these tedious provisions, as Vivek ji would be taking you through in great detail. Now from 193 to 195, they are all now under one section 393. And we all understand when I say 193 to 195, I do not mean only 3, 4, and 5. It covers 194, 194A, 194C, 194H, I, IA, J, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, everything. So all these sections are now under one particular section, 393. A great amount of grouping and consolidation which is happening. Okay. Then we have got number of schedules and tables coming up. This whole section 10, exempted income, the equivalent to section 11. Now earlier, at present, section 10 happens to be probably the longest section in income tax, okay, spanning around say 15, 20 pages kind of thing. Now that whole section 11, which is equivalent to section 10, is probably 2-line sections only. Everything is now coming in the schedule. So every income mentioned in schedule 3, schedule 2 to schedule 7, they all are exempt. And they are giving us various kind of schedules, talking about various kind of exempted income. So whole lot of scheduling and tabulation is coming into picture. This whole tabulation will have its own kind of challenges for us that probably will be discussed during the course of say different discussions. And then the great change of terminology, sir. AY, PY to TY. There is no assessment here, there is no previous year, there is tax year. Now, what kind of problem this AY, PY to TY is going to create? I will spend few minutes on say discussing that thing also. Notwithstanding, नाम का कोई शब्द नहीं बचा है, that has been replaced with what is called irrespective of. Provisos and explanations are gone. They have been converted into subsections. I'm sure legal fraternity will have a very detailed discussion in times to come, whether a proviso and a subsection have say equal kind of weightage so far as legal position is concerned. Both are standing on the equal footing, or there is a say difference in their implication. It's going to be very interesting discussion at as we move forward with this whole implementation. But right now, this is the position, provisos and explanations, everything has been gone. In fact, at this point, I can share a very, say, small story with all of you. Probably that will create the gist of this whole discussion, sir. Okay, what kind of change has happened? A very small story I can share. And that is actually my personal story. And then during the course of discussion, you may find that this probably relates with number of you people also. So आप में से जिस को ऐसा लगे कि ये कहानी आपकी भी है, please raise your hands. Okay, my story I can share, and I feel this is what this whole new act is. Story is something like this. In my house, I am considered to be very disorganized person, sir. मुझे बड़ा अव्यवस्थित सा व्यक्ति माना जाता है मेरे घर में. Yeah, 2 hands going up already, sir. 4, good. अच्छा, दोनों हाथ उठ रहे हैं, both the hands. So I'm not actually that disorganized, but still I'm considered to be a disorganized person. So what happened, whenever I go out, I come to Calcutta for these seminars or something like this, so that small place in the home which has been allotted to me, so it remains very, say, unorganized kind of thing, papers lying here and there, system somewhere, other things. So everything now the वो हमला होता है एकदम से, and everything gets arranged properly. Okay. So when I will go back to Indore tomorrow, I will find everything properly, neatly arranged kind of thing. Are you able to relate, sir? Yeah. Now in this whole situation, two problems happen. When this everything happens, you get everything neat, clean, orderly, organized properly. Two problems happen, sir. दो परेशानियां हो जाती हैं. Can you tell me what are these two problems? Sorry? But still it is neatly organized, gives you a very good kind of look. The moment you enter that particular place, सारी चीजें बिल्कुल जमी हुई हैं. Sorry, sir? It loses its liveliness, okay. Creates more problem. In the sense, sir, you are not able to find. This is the first problem, that I am not able to find where it is lying. It might be disorganized, it might be laying here and there, but I was knowing that where it is available, कहाँ पे जाके देखना है. This whole 61 to 25 change is to a large extent this kind of change only. It might be disorganized, but I was able to find out, okay, 43B MSME का payment का provision कहाँ पे मिलेगा income tax में. We all were knowing it is in somewhere section called 43B. Now ये मेरा 43B कहाँ चला गया? You keep on finding, you keep on locating, कहाँ पे है, कहाँ रखा है, इधर है, उधर है, कहाँ है. So this whole say finding where the same thing is there, that is going to be the very first challenge. And the second problem is this: howsoever neatly you arrange, after some period of time, and it will again come back to the same old situation. And this is what the fear we are having, even if it has been organized properly, neat and clean kind of manner, all the sections properly arranged, properly numbered. But we always keep our fingers crossed that God, please keep this as it is. Don't allow it to become a mess in another next 5 to 7 to 10 years kind of thing. But this is what is happening as of now. The things were lying disorganized, unarranged over a period of time. Various say sections have been deleted, sections have become redundant, sections have become useless, they have been removed. So as of now, giving me a very good kind of look and feel. लगता बड़ा अच्छा है. कितने समय तक ऐसा रहेगा? That is a question we all would like to answer in the years to come. Okay, so these are, say, these broad spectrum of changes. Now, because of this whole referencing is going to change, this whole section numbers getting changed. So now say there is this section 194J. Client कभी भी फोन करके पूछे कि साहब वो अपन एक लॉयर को पेमेंट कर रहे हैं, वो TDS करना है, कौन से सेक्शन में होगा? So even if it is late midnight, I can always say यार लॉयर को पेमेंट हो रहा है, this will be section 194J TDS. Now the TDS would still remain same, the provision would still remain same, the exemption would still remain same, the rate would still remain same, but it will not be 194J. There is no 194J. This is section 393(1), table serial number 62A. So this whole referencing is going to change a lot. There is one very interesting observation with respect to this whole irrespective of, which they have replaced with this notwithstanding. When the matter went before the select committee of parliament, a question has been asked why you are changing it, and the say government has replied, finance ministry has replied, irrespective of has been used for ease of understanding by a common graduate. They are on record using this concept that it can be used by a common graduate. और जैसे ही मैंने ये पढ़ा सर, I was able to recall those GST days when they were saying that GST we will make so simplified that even a पड़ोस का बच्चा can file that return. So I'm happy to see at the time of GST implementation, somebody was pados ka bacha. Now he has become a common graduate kind of thing. Now this whole change is happening, keeping in mind that common graduate. This is where the real issue would be. Vivek ji has very eloquently raised all those questions. Old Act, New Act, Old Act, New Act, which will happen under which particular Act. Along with this whole Old Act, New Act, the major issue is going to be AY to TY. And particularly, as he will discuss in great detail later on, particularly this particular year, the upcoming year 26-27 is going to be a great challenge with respect to this whole AY to TY, PY to TY story. This is the only year, 26-27, which will be an assessment year also and which will be a tax year also. इसके बाद के जितने वाले साल हैं, they all will be tax year only. All years till now were assessment year only. Only 26-27 is AY as well as TY, and that's why this Finance Bill 26, which has come just now, it is making changes for say old Act with respect to AY 26-27 and in the new Act with respect to TY 26-27. What kind of problem this is going to create? Just some kind of ideas related with this. So actually now my previous year is my tax year. What we used to call PY, that is now TY. So there is no AY, there is no PY. PY you have replaced with TY. Now you need AY also in certain cases. जो previous year का अगला वाला साल है, that needs to be referred in number of cases. So now what is AY? AY is the financial year succeeding to the relevant tax year. Something which was being referred to in two words till now, assessment year, now they are using this whole phrase, financial year succeeding the relevant tax year. Number of my timelines have not got linked with the tax year, not with the assessment year, but tax year, and that's why they all have increased by 1 year. So you will get number of, say, WhatsApp University messages saying that timeline has increased, timeline has increased. Actually, it has not increased. Earlier, it was linked with assessment year. So a 148 notice could have been issued within a period of 5 years, 3 months from the end of the assessment year. Now this is 6 years, 3 months from the end of the tax year. So 5 year has gone up to 6 year, but then the AY has been replaced with TY. So actually, there is no change in the time limit. The only referencing has changed. One particular aspect which I would like to draw your attention, what Vivek ji was also mentioning, I'm just taking it from a little bit different perspective. This whole office chaos which is going to be there in probably next 2, 3, 4 months in our offices because of this whole AY, TY issue. See, for example, what he has mentioned, TDS challans of 30th of April and TDS challan of 7th of May. Old Act, New Act. But along with Old Act, New Act, sir, the problem is of the AY, TY also. The TDS challan of 30th of April 26, which we all will be preparing, that is with respect to AY 26-27. And the same TDS challan on 7th of May, that is still 26-27, sir. 7 May वाला भी है 26-27 वाला, but now this is TY 26-27. The TDS returns of 31st July, and then normal returns on 31st July. On 31st of July, we will be filing 2 types of returns. One is all my, salary returns. Now, business wale returns to 31st August ho jayenge, but all salary returns are 31st of July. And then the TDS returns are also on 31st of July. TDS returns 31st July, obviously new Act. Salary returns 31st July, old Act. AY versus TY. So salary return on 31st of July is for AY 26-27. The TDS returns on 31st July is for TY 26-27. Okay. The challans. Income tax returns. Both are there on 31st of July. So my office is handling AY also, my office is handling TY also. So that is an issue which will be there. And because say those people who have to handle all these things, all my articles and all my staff sitting there, the kind of orientation they will be requiring, that require a good amount of consideration. Say for example, advance tax challan on 15th of June, and then self-assessment tax challan on 31st of July. Same client, same assessee, I am preparing an advance tax challan on 15th of June. That is as per new act. So TY 2627, and the self-assessment tax challan on 31st of July, that is old act AY 2627. Okay. Somewhere in the year 28-29, we would be handling two different types of assessments. One would be for AY 2627, another might be for TY 2627. Same year, same kind of assessee. One assessment is for AY 2627, second would be for TY 2627. Small issues, sir. When they create an act, उनके लिए बड़ा आसान है ये कहना कि sir, we are simplifying it, AY, PY, we are replacing it with TY. What kind of simplification it is happening and what kind of complication this will create, this is for only professionals to handle. we are left with say handling all these kind of problems. So things are not going to be that much easy, specifically that transition period. That's why it is very, very necessary to have a very detailed discussion about this whole transitional issues, handling that transition in a proper kind of manner. Okay. Very interestingly, sir, just one small point with respect to this whole AY, PY versus TY concept. See, there is this Income Tax Act. But then along with Income Tax Act, we always have certain other sister legislations also. For example, Black Money Act. Now, income tax, you have changed this whole EY, PY to TY. That Black Money Act में अभी भी वो AY की बात कर रहे हैं सर. वो अभी उनकी नजर में नहीं आया कि there also simplification, there also change kind of thing is needed. But so it is still with respect to AY only. Income tax we are changing. A very interesting observation somebody has made. Sir, you have replaced all these provisos and explanations in the income tax with the idea that this will create simplification. So you change everything. Proviso, explanation, everything has been removed. After this income tax, 6 months down the line, you introduce this whole new labor code. Now, new labor code is very conveniently having all those terminologies. वहाँ पे provisos भी है, वहाँ पे explanations भी है, everything is there. When it is acceptable there, but it has been changed in the income tax. But this is how the things have happened. That this whole Black Money Act is still having that whole EY, PY. It has not been changed. Now, relevance of old act. As again, this whole transitional provision would be discussed in detail. Nobody should think कि साहब ये पुराना income tax जो है वो खत्म हो जाने वाला है. Our understanding is this: at least next 5 to 10 years, those who are into litigation, so till IT-80 matter will reach, at least for next 10 years, that the old act would still be relevant. उसकी ज़रूरत अभी भी पड़ने वाली है. I get reminded of a very old Hindi movie song looking at this particular situation कि साहब तू जहाँ चलेगा मेरा साया साथ होगा. So old income tax act is not going to go out. It will still be there. Okay. So these are some kind of say this transitional issues, some of the issues related with this whole say handling of this particular transition, just to create a background of whatever we are going to discuss. Now, after this, let's come to this whole, say, actual part of this income tax. Different topics, I'm sure you will be deliberating different aspects, different provisions, line by line manner in all these sessions. The topic which has been specifically allotted to me is this provisions of profits and gains of business. And in fact, when I have seen the flyer of this particular program, something which has actually struck me, that the title, the theme which has been given, Back to Basics. और मुझे लगा साहब एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के लिए बेसिक्स क्या होता है. Basics, that means back to CA final days at least, if not CA intermediate. So it is probably we are going back to those golden days of, say, CA intermediate, CA final studies, studying each and every section in a line by line kind of manner. The good part is this, the basic concepts, as I have said, are going to remain same. वो provisions are वैसे ही हैं. 43B might have become 37 now, but still all those provisions would remain same. So as such, not much of the, say, conceptual understanding would be required. But as I have said, the whole revising of number would ढूंढना पड़ेगा. This provision, earlier it was there, now it is lying where? That revising is what is the, say, basic requirement of this whole new act to old act. In fact, there was another very interesting, say, Hindi movie song which somebody has told me कि यार ये जब ये नया इनकम टैक्स एक्ट आया था तो somebody was singing कि चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाएं हम दोनों. इतने साल से we were studying this whole old income tax and now this new income tax act is there. So somebody was saying कि चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाएं हम दोनों. But when we have actually seen this new income tax and we realize that majority of provisions are basically same, the numbering has been changed. So then somebody is saying another song, अजनबी तुम जाने पहचाने से लगते हो. We know who you are. Some changes are there. So from that particular perspective, let's try to discuss in detail what all changes are there with respect to this profits and gains of business. There are some conceptual changes also, some issues which require the detailed interpretive kind of, say, discussion. But then majority of changes are more from the structural perspective also. Okay. So let's start with this overall coverage. Section 26 to 66 is going to be your business income provisions, what used to be earlier section 28 to section 44 DB. And let's say, accept it with all honesty, out of this 28 to 44 DB, number of sections were there which probably we have never read after our CA final studies. कभी ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी साहब उसको पढ़ने की. At the time of those, say, examination, obviously each and every section has been studied in detail, but number of sections were there which were not of very practical use as such. So it was 28 to 44 DB was all these, say, old income tax, business income. Now this is 26 to 66. Okay. Starting with the very first, what can be called as the charging section of this particular chapter, particular head, section 28 at present, now it is section 26. So earlier it was 28 clause 1 to clause 7, new section 26 subsection 2A to 2K. All those explanations, everything have been neatly converted into, say, subsections. There were two explanations in this particular section. First is with respect to that speculative business being treated as a separate business. And second is recently, last budget only, they have added this clarification. Income from letting out a residential house property shall not be taxable as business income. It will be taxable as income from house property only. So these two explanations are still there, but they have been converted into subsection 2 and subsection 3 only, retaining the basic structure. Okay. One or two changes, I'm sure one issue which Vivek ji has raised, that is probably only change which requires some kind of an interpretive, say, discussion, that is with respect to that, say, export incentives. So the term which they are using is any kind of export incentives received or receivable. So with respect to these incentives, these benefits arising out of profession, matter has already become quite complicated after that amendment in section 28 2 or 3 years back. जहाँ पे उन्होंने कहा साहब any kind of benefit or perquisite arising out of a business or profession, whether monetary or non-monetary, that will be treated as your taxable business income. This change in this, say, export incentive, the change in the language, probably carries further that particular amendment which they have introduced. But one important aspect I would like to make, because these kind of issues would come again and again with respect to this language of new act versus old act, what needs to be read with respect to language of new act, whether it is signifying any kind of change. So probably we would be required to take help of those select committee discussion. We all know after this introduction of Income Tax Bill 2025, that whole parliamentary select committee has examined each and every section, each and every provision of the bill. And before that select committee, number of times, more than probably 25 or 50 places, the government has again and again said that we don't want to do any kind of policy changes at this point of time. It is only, say, simplification of language we are trying to achieve. So I'm very sure whenever this kind of issue would come, if the income tax department would try to introduce new avenues of taxation based on the language of, say, new act, then this situation would always come to the rescue of assessee, saying that the intention of legislation is very clear. No policy changes are being introduced. This is only the simplification of language. So not much is required to be read into the, say, some kind of language changes which are happening in the, say, new act. Obviously, there would always be a counter argument when the language of act is clear, then whether the intention of legislation is required to be seen, and all those legal issues would always be there. So as they say कि साहब आप जितना चीज़ों को simplify करते हैं, it becomes more and more complicated. So they are trying to simplify something, but it will always add to its own new kind of, say, legal interpretive issues also. But so far as my position is concerned, as of now, I would like to go by that solemn assurance given by the government before the select committee that there are no policy changes as such. So whatever written is there in the old act, the new act needs to be interpreted in the same light. Though there are some cases where this change is very striking. We will see one or two with respect to this presumptive taxation carry forward of losses issues. Some cases are there, but by and large we can see that this position will continue, that whatever was the situation during the course of old act, the same situation would continue with respect to new act. So this is the very first section, that is with respect to the chargeability, the taxable income. Then the next section, section 29, which is mode of computation, manner of computation, exactly similar kind of provision with the, say, language kind of changes there. The income referred to in section 28 shall be computed in accordance with the provisions contained in section 30 to 43D, present section. The income referred to in section 26 shall be computed as per the provisions of 28 to 60, except section 58. 58 is now that presumptive taxation. So that provision will not be applicable for normal business income calculation. All other provisions would be applicable. So to that extent, sir, ये जो शुरू के दो sections हैं, situation is more or less same. The only number has been changed. Otherwise, everything is same. Now after this, the change starts. The change in the structure starts. Okay. Allowable deductions. What all deductions I can claim against my business income. So if I recall, the present position of this whole business profession chapter is this, if I can use that word, very, very clumsy kind of situation is there. As I was saying, the haphazard situation, what all deductions I can claim, different provisions, different sections. There is section 29 talking about plant and machinery repairs, then section 29 talking about building repairs, 30 talking about plant and machinery, furniture repairs. Then you have section 36 giving us various kind of deductions, 35D, 35, different sections, different kind of provision. What they are trying to do is to give a proper systematic structure to this whole scheme of act. So what they have done, all these allowable deductions, now they are into 6 main sections. By and large, for say normal general assessees, all these allowable deductions are categorized into, say, 6 sections from 38 to 24. 28 to 34. Out of this, 28 to 31, they are specific categories of expenditure. They have created 4 categories of expenditure and given one section to one particular category, 28 to 31. Then we have 32, other miscellaneous deductions, whatever remains out of that existing section 36, that is say other miscellaneous deduction 32, and then we have this residuary section, general deduction, our good old 37, which is now section 34. So all allowable deductions, generally, other than special cases, but generally, normally for the business, what all are the allowable deductions? Section 28 to section 34. Okay, so 28 to 31, four specific categories of the expenditure. Now what is happening? They are creating four categories of this deduction, and all deductions related with one particular category, they are given a particular specific section. So the first category we are having is this section 28. All expenditure related with the repairs and insurance, rates, taxes, rent, rates, taxes, insurance, repairs, etc. So all expenditure related with my premises repair, building repair, machinery repair, furniture repair, insurance of all these things. So all these assets, maintenance kind of all these expenditure, they are now under section 28. Earlier we used to have 30 and 31 talking about building and plant and machinery, but now all these say asset maintenance related expenditure, that is say one category, section 28. Now 29, deductions related with the employee welfare, which is scattered right now under different clauses of section 36 as of now. They all say employee welfare related deductions, they are under section 29. That is all my provident fund contribution, superannuation fund contribution, NPS contribution, gratuity contribution, all employee welfare related deduction. They are under this section 29, which is presently part of 36. Okay. Since we are discussing Income Tax Act 2025, so the very important change which has been introduced by this budget, Finance Bill 26. Let's have a brief discussion about this also. Very important change in this. That is with respect to that employees' contribution to the Provident Fund. The new budget, Finance Bill 2026 has proposed, like employer contribution, now even employee contribution, if deposited on or before the due date of filing of ITR, that can be claimed as deduction, that will be allowed as deduction. The due date with respect to Provident Fund Act, the due date with respect to that relevant act is no more applicable. It is due date of ITR which will be applicable there. So all my those checkmate decisions and everything are no more relevant. A very important idea why I am taking up this particular issue, sir, ये इस साल के लिए चूंकि चीजें बड़ी चैलेंजिंग होने वाली हैं, which amendment is applicable with respect to old act and which amendment is applicable with respect to new act. That needs to have, we need to generate an absolute clarity on this. So after the budget has been introduced, we all must have got these kind of messages, we all must have read this thing, because the employee provident fund contribution, that can also be claimed as deduction if deposited up to the due date of filing of ITR. The important point is this amendment is not applicable with respect to AY 26-27, it is applicable with respect to TY 26-27. So this AY TY is going to be a major problem. Please handle it carefully. So this whole employee provident fund, current year audit, current year form 3CD, the same old position would continue. 15 के बाद में अगर वो provident fund जमा हुआ है, so that has to be disallowed. Next year, TY 26-27, next audit cycle, next audit period, form number 26 जब हम अगले साल फाइल करेंगे, what is this form 26, that also we will discuss. So next year audit, then this amendment would become applicable, that employee contribution, like employer contribution, paid on or before the due date of filing of ITR, that can be claimed as deduction. So this is section 29 of the new Income Tax Act, employee welfare. Then the third category is they are consolidating all the provisions related with the deduction of various insurance premium. Again, right now they were scattered in different parts of section 36. They are now getting categorized into one single section, section 30, deduction of certain premium, stock insurance premium, employee health insurance premium, all would be allowed as deduction under section 30 of income tax. Okay. And then we have section 31 taking care of this doubtful dates. Okay, bad dates, provision for doubtful dates. Again, different parts of section 36 basically. So that is now getting consolidated into one single section, section 31. For banks also, for NBFCs also, where they allow me a deduction with respect to certain percentage of my total income as a provision for bad debts. For all other assessees, the provision is not allowed as a deduction. Actual bad debt written off is allowed as a deduction. So all these are now getting consolidated into this one single section, that is section 31 of the Income Tax Act 2025. So these are first 4 categories of allowable deduction, where the deductions are getting categorized based on the common nature of those expenditure, the deduction would be allowed. After this, then we are having section 32, which is say whatever remains in present section 36. Okay. Other deductions, miscellaneous deductions, which we can call deduction on account of bonus, deduction on account of interest, this security transaction tax paid with respect to business income, whatever is there in present day section 36, which has not been categorized from 28 to 31, everything would then come to section 32, other deductions. And then my good old section 37 would be new section 34. Same provision with all those exceptions, everything expenditure incurred for any purpose which is prohibited by law, which is an offense, for settlement of any offense, all this will not be allowed as a deduction. Same provision, the provision would remain same, the number would get changed. Instead of 37, now this will be section 34 of income tax. Okay, so these are say mainly 6 sections from 28 to 34, which are talking about allowable revenue expenditure. All my revenue expenditure which will be allowed as a deduction would be now one by one, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 and then 34. 32 और 34 के बीच में जो एक 33 रह गया है सर, that is for the purpose of depreciation. So till now what was 32, now this is section 33. All these provisions with respect to the depreciation deduction is now under section 33 with again similar kind of concepts, additional depreciation, normal depreciation, less than 180 days used for the purpose of business, all those provisions would remain same. Rather than provisoed in explanations, they have been neatly arranged into one by one subsection kind of thing, section 33. And then related with this depreciation, this whole concept of actual cost and concept of block period, WDV of block of asset and everything, that will be section 39 and 41. So 33, 39 and 41, this trilogy actually makes up my whole depreciation deduction, which was till now 32 and 43. Now this is 33, 39 and 41, 3 sections talking about this whole depreciation. So 26 is basically what is chargeable, 27 is a computation of income, 28, 29, 30, 31 specific kind of deductions, 32 other deductions, 33 depreciation, 34 general residuary deduction, present day section 37. Then the disallowability. As of now, sir, 3 sections income tax में है, where they talk about disallowability of the deduction. Expenditure allow होगा, वो 29 से चालू होके वो 37 पे खत्म हो जाता है. Then we have section 40, 40 capital A and section 43B. 3 sections which talk about disallowability of deduction. Now these 3 sections are getting converted into 35, 36 and 37. So new 37 is old 43B. My in fact simple suggestion would be, sir, जहाँ जहाँ मैं ये डिस्कशन के लिए जा रहा हूँ, मैं सबको एक सिंपल सा सजेशन दे रहा हूँ. So income tax department has already put on their website a very beautiful navigator kind of thing, old act versus new act, old section number versus new section number. Apart from say listening to all these discussion, different conferences, seminar, everything, at least इतना काम शायद हम सब लोग कर सकते हैं. Please take a printout of that navigator, 5, 6, 7 page kind of printout and keep it pasted somewhere, टेबल के नीचे, दीवार पे, साइड पे, कहीं ना कहीं उसे लगा के रख लें. This whole year, this running year, 26-27, we will be having to familiarize ourselves with this whole new section number. Right now, whatever will be the return filing audit season, this will be 43B only. But next year, then this will get converted into section 37. So अभी से कम वो rewiring अपने दिमाग में चालू हो जाए, renumbering जो है वो चालू हो जाए. So next year, when we all will be actually using these provisions, things would become little bit easier for all of us. So 3 disallowability provisions, section 35, which is equivalent to present day section 40, section 36, which is 40 capital A, and then section 37, which is 43B of the 61 Act. Okay. So what is this section 35? Now, irrespective of any other provision, earlier it used to be notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision. Now, this is irrespective of any other provision of chapter 4D. The following amount shall not be allowed as deduction. So, what is it? First of all these taxes. Now, again, there is some slight kind of say change in language. Now, they are talking about taxes paid on income will not be allowed. Earlier, they used to say taxes on profits and gains of business. Now, they are saying taxes paid on income will not be allowed as a deduction. Taxes paid on non-monetary perquisites being provided to the employees. If I am providing some kind of non-monetary perquisite to the employee, for example, a residential accommodation has been given to the employee, the tax on that residential accommodation, if that much amount of tax is being paid by the employer. Now, presently also, there is this provision that tax on non-monetary perquisite paid by the employer that is not treated as taxable income of the employee, and correspondingly, it is not allowed as a deduction to the employer also. Okay. If on the normal income of employee, if the tax is being paid by the employer, then that tax is itself taxable. That itself is treated as perquisite. But for non-monetary perquisite, any tax is being paid by the employer, then tax is not taxable for employee. And similarly, that tax is not deductible for employer also. So same provision they are continuing here in section 35 clause A. Then taxes paid in other country for which FTC relief is eligible. I have paid some taxes on income in an African country, and against those taxes I have claimed a foreign tax credit relief in India. Then that tax itself I cannot claim as a deduction. Present position also, same would continue in the new act also. So first is this, all kind of taxes paid. Second is this, my present day section 40AI, 40A, IAB, all these say disallowance because of non-compliance of TDS, similar position, 30% of without TDS payment to resident, 100% of without TDS payment to non-resident, that will be disallowed, with similar kind of say flexibility given to me. If the payment has been made up to the due date of filing of ITR, then the deduction would be available. If payment has been made after the date of ITR, then the next year deduction would be available. Similar mechanism would continue. Now this will be under section 35B. Then salary paid to non-resident without TDS, no deduction would be available. Royalty, etc. paid to state government, paid by state government undertaking to the state government, even right now also, this is not allowed as a deduction. And sometimes this happens, जब ये सारी चीज़ें हम डिटेल में पढ़ना चालू करेंगे, so बहुत सारे provision ऐसे आएंगे, as I was saying, which we might have studied during our CA final days, or in number of cases also, after CA final, some amendment has been done that was of no relevance for us, so we have never bothered to study all these things. But there are some very interesting provision which are already there in the current act also. So when we will be studying न्यू इनकम टैक्स एक्ट इन थ्रेडबेयर मैनर, सो ऐसे भी बहुत सारे हिडन प्रोविजंस है जो निकल के बाहर आएंगे. एंड प्रोबेबली वी विल वंडर, अरे यार ऐसा भी कुछ है क्या, मेरे को तो आज तक मालूम ही नहीं था, बट स्टिल दिस प्रोविजंस आर देयर. तो से फॉर एग्जांपल, इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग काइंड ऑफ प्रोविजन विच इज स्टिल देयर, विच सेज दैट रॉयल्टी एटसेट्रा paid by the state government undertaking to the state government. number of provisions in income tax are having a political background. Number of, say, provisions are there, which are because of, say, political issues also, and how the politics of the, say, country changes, and that impacts the whole taxation. It's a very interesting story. So, ये जो provision आया है, just to give you, say, small background of this particular provision, because I am sure हमें से बहुत सारे लोगों ने कभी बहुत डिटेल में इससे स्टडी नहीं किया होगा. नए इनकम टैक्स के बहाने एक बार जस्ट उसे हम नज़र से देख लेते हैं. सो दिस प्रोविजन वॉज देयर व्हेन से अवर प्रेजेंट डे प्राइम मिनिस्टर यूज टू बी चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ गुजरात, एंड वेयर इन द सेंट्रल देयर वॉज से कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट. So in Gujarat, we know there are number of, say, state government undertakings which are doing wonderful, which are extremely profitable kind of thing. So all those state governments all those state government undertakings were generating huge amount of profit and paying huge amount of taxes, obviously, to the central government. So somebody at the state level thought, यार ये हमारे यहाँ की अंडरटेकिंग है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इतना सारा उनसे टैक्स उठा के लेके चली जाती है, तो ये तो गड़बड़ है. दिस मनी शुड रिमेन विद इन आवर स्टेट ओनली. सो व्हाट दे हैव डन, दे हैव स्टार्टेड चार्जिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ रॉयल्टी. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड चार्जिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ रॉयल्टी फ्रॉम ऑल दी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अंडरटेकिंग. दीज वेर ओन्ड बाय स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ओनली. सो मना करने का सवाल ही नहीं उठता था. तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड चार्जिंग ह्यूज amount of royalty for income tax purposes. All the state government undertaking started claiming this royalty as a business deduction. Obviously, so this is a government levy. Government of state is charging this much royalty from us. We have to pay it. It's a business expenditure. So in the form of royalty, money has been kept within the state itself, and for income tax purposes, for central government taxation purposes, the profit has been reduced to a great extent. To counter this, when Mr. Chidambaram used to be finance minister, he brought this kind of provision that any royalty, etc., paid by state government undertaking to the state government shall not be allowed as a deduction. So it has been brought by a Congress government to, say, overcome the say, situations created by the, say, present day central government, which was there in the state at that point of time. Now that provision is continuing. वो भी income tax में continue है, and even after this new change also, they are continuing, though the equations have changed. Now the political scene has been completely changed in the country, but the provision is still continuing that royalty, etc., paid by state government undertaking to the state government shall not be allowed as a deduction, continued in the new act also. And then this 35E, salary interest paid by the firm to the partners. What is our section 40 clause B as of now? This will be 35E. Limit would remain same. Partners की salary, partners का interest, that the limit would remain same. The section would change. अब वो 40B में नहीं मिलेगा, उसको 35E में जाके ढूंढना पड़ेगा. All these say salary interest, and then 35F is salary and interest paid by AOP to its members, not allowed as a deduction to the AOP. For partnership firm, if it is more than that limit, then it is not allowed. For AOP, it is never allowed. Any interest, any salary paid by AOP to its members is never allowed as a deduction. So this is section 35 for you. 40 of the present act now getting converted into section 35 of the new act. After 40, then present act, we have another disallowability under section 40 capital A. Basically, दो main disallowance 40 capital A में है. First is, say, what we call related party payment, and second is this cash payment more than 10,000. Now both are there. Instead of 35, now this will be section 36. The structuring is getting changed, the payment to specified persons. Now there is a complete table which is coming into the act. अब जब हम act को देखेंगे तो वो पूरी table हमारे सामने आएगी, which is giving me a meaning of who all would be treated as specified person. For an individual, कौन specified person की category में होगा, for company specified person की category में होगा. And mind you, हमने say we all keep on say using this provision, सारी tax audit की हमारी reporting का बहुत major हिस्सा होता है, but then let's accept it with full honesty. In number of cases, that the reporting even in say tax audit report is also not accurate, because the actual meaning of that related person, specified person in the act, is something different. What we interpret in a normal manner is sometimes very, very different. Okay, so provision would remain same. नए एक्ट और पुराने एक्ट में वो सेम रहेगा, पर कम से कम अब नए एक्ट के बहाने उस चीज़ को एक बार फिर से रिवाइज कर लें हम, who all would be treated as a related party, what they are being now being called a specified person. Okay. Practically speaking, the way this whole section has been worded, even today and even after post-amendment, actually speaking, it is say probably in case of companies, etc., rarely there is a possibility of having a 100% compliance, the kind of say mechanism which they are creating. Just to give you an example, who all are a specified person, who all are related party for the purpose of this provision. There is no change as such. पहले भी वही था, अभी भी यही है. I'm just highlighting those salient aspects of the act जो शायद उतना highlight कभी नहीं हुए. In the case of company, they say, who all are my related party, who all are my specified person. So they say, all my directors are my specified person, very clearly. Okay. All relatives of my directors, they are a specified person. Okay. All the concerns in which this director and these relatives are having substantial interest, they are also my related party. And all the directors of those concerns, they are also my related party. थोड़ा सा इसको सर ध्यान से देख, देयर इज नो चेंज एज सच, पहले भी जो था अभी भी वही है, पर एक बार थोड़ा सा उसको ध्यान से देखिए सब कितने लेवल पे ये प्रोविजन ऑपरेट हो रहा है. ऑल माय डायरेक्टर्स आर माय रिलेटेड पार्टी, वेरी क्लियरली. रिलेटिव्स ऑफ माय डायरेक्टर्स आर ऑल्सो माय रिलेटेड पार्टी, सिंपल. All the companies in which they are further directors, they are also my related party. So I am having 4 directors in my company, all these 4 are my related party. Each one of this is a director in 20 other companies. You may have said this 20 directorship. So each one of this is a director in 20 other companies. So all these 80 companies are also my related parties. Okay. All the directors of all these 80 companies, they are also my related party. So all these 80 companies might be having 5 different persons as their director. So 400 another layer of persons, they are also part of my related party list. If actually I want to do a say proper detail kind of verification, this would be probably next to impossible to find out whether any transaction is there with so many persons. But this is how the section has been structured. This is how the provision has been created. पहले भी था, अभी भी है. Any simplification at this conceptual level has not been done. They have simplified the language, they have created that table and everything, but practical implementation में जो difficulty है, that is still there. So it is payment to a specified person. Now this is section 36, subsection 2 and 3. Payment exceeding rupees 10,000. Now this is subsection 4 to subsection 8. Okay, what was say section 40 is subsection 3 now. Now this is subsection 4 to 8. With a say change in the language. Till now, as of now, the section says any payment in excess of rupees 10,000 made otherwise than by way of an account pay check or account pay bank draft or any other prescribed mode, then that will not be allowed as a deduction. Now they are changing all these account pay check, account pay bank draft, etc. with the terminology specified banking or online mode. So any payment exceeding rupees 10,000 not made through specified banking or online mode, that will get hit by the subsection 4 of section 36, subject to all those exceptions and everything, rule 6DD which was there, and now it has been replaced with a different rule, but the provisions of that rule also are more or less same. So the basic mechanism would still remain same. Instead of say section 48(3), this will be now section 36. Okay. Then comes the section 37, and where probably the first what we can call a conceptual change is coming. One issue which was say somewhat a part of controversy as of now, probably after this change of language, this may get settled. So the situation is this. Now section 37, वो हमारा अभी वाला 43B है sir. The existing 43B is new section 37. So I'm not going to give you the details of all those transactions which are covered in 37. It exactly remains same. Okay. The change is there in the opening line of the provision. As of now, 43B says, notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the act. और उसका जो corresponding version आया है सर नए section में, it is saying irrespective of any provision to the contrary in the act. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the act and irrespective of any provision to the contrary in the act. As of now, where this may have an impact. As of now, there is a say controversy, there is a doubt with respect to my 44 AD versus 43B. Presumptive taxation vis-a-vis this disallowance under section 43B. So the issue is this, that whether 43B will override 44 AD, मीनिंग देयर बाय कि मेरे एसएससी ने अगर अभी भी 8% या 6% का इनकम डिक्लेयर करा है अंडर सेक्शन 44 एडी एंड देयर इज एनी सच पेमेंट विच इज कवर्ड अंडर सेक्शन 43B एंड देयर इज अ वायलेशन ऑफ दैट 43B, वो पेमेंट आईटीआर की ड्यू डेट तक नहीं हो पाया, वेदर दैट पेमेंट कैन बी डिसअलाउड ओवर एंड अबव दैट 6%, 8%. जो जनरल स्ट्रक्चरिंग है हमारी, जो जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है प्रिजम्पटिव टैक्सेशन की, वी ऑल विल से सर वंस इट इज 6%, 8% डिक्लेयर्ड, द मैटर एंड्स देयर, नो फर्दर एडिशन कैन बी मेड. बट विद द लैंग्वेज ऑफ 43B in the present act, there is a problem. Because 43B says, notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the act. दूसरे सेक्शन में कुछ भी लिखा हो, मैं तो एप्लीकेबल होऊंगा, मैं बड़ा हूं, मैं ओवरराइड कर रहा हूं. एंड वी हैव गॉट एटलीस्ट वन पणजी ट्राइब्यूनल डिसीजन इन द केस ऑफ दिस गुडलक काइनेटिक, वेयर ट्राइब्यूनल हैज सेड दैट 43B वुड बी एप्लीकेबल इवन इन केस ऑफ 44 AD ऑल्सो, because of the phraseology of the present section, because of the language of the present section 43B, which says notwithstanding contained in any other provision of the act. Now 37 is saying notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in any other provision of that. These all are small changes. Those who are into litigation practice, they always appreciate these kind of minor tweaks in the language, but they become very, very helpful sometimes. Okay, at the tribunal level, at the court level, these small issues sometimes help you to win a, say, good amount of cases. So now 37 is saying that notwithstanding anything contrary. Now, the presumptive taxation provision is not contrary to this 37, to the present day 43B. Till now, when 43B was saying notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the act, then so it was having a sweeping overriding effect over every other provision of the act. But now that overriding effect has been diluted down, it has been diluted considerably by saying that irrespective of any provision to the contrary, meaning thereby both the provisions would now be operating separately. Presumptive taxation is a separate code in itself that will operate separately. There is no contradiction in both the sections. So now probably after this amendment, that controversy would get settled, that once it is 8%, 6% or 50% or that truck income as per that per month basis calculation, that is final. None of these say disallowability provision would be applicable. As of now, this matter is not free from doubt. As I have said already, there is at least one tribunal decision which has gone against the assessee on this particular point as of now. But probably after this amendment, that controversy should get settled now. Okay. So this is 43B versus 37. The basic mechanism remains same. The basic provision, the basic coverage of the section is the same with this one particular important change. Okay. So after this 35, 36, 37, okay, 26 and 27 basic provision, 28 to 34 allowable deduction, 35, 36, 37, disallowability provisions. Then the next section is section 38, which is equivalent to present day section 41, deemed profits, another charging section of business profession. So all those income which were taxable under section 41 as of now, they will remain taxable under section 38 of the new Income Tax Act. All this value of any benefit accruing to the assessee by way of cessation or remission of trading liability, any amount obtained in respect of any expenditure, any loss which has been allowed as deduction earlier, recovery of any bad debt, all those present day 41 provision, they will come to section 38 as it is deemed profit. Okay. Then we have three provisions talking about, say, cost of the asset. Why we need, for the purpose of business profession, we require the provisions related with the cost of asset. Capital gains, so you always need a provision with respect to cost of asset. For business income, why you need provision with respect to cost of asset? A, with respect to my depreciation, what will be the actual cost? Then with respect to depreciation again, what will be the WDV in case of block of asset and everything. And C, in certain cases, when I have received asset by way of gift or will or inheritance, etc., and I am holding them as my stock in trade, so when I will be selling of those stock in trade, how to calculate my profit. So even for business profession purposes also, you require provisions related with the cost of asset. Now these three sections in the new Income Tax Act, all were part of, say, 43 as of now. Now in the new act, they have been, say, segregated into three different sections, 39, 40 and 41. 39 is talking about actual cost of the asset used for the purpose of business. So for the purpose of depreciation and everything, this whole actual cost would be under section 39. The WDV provisions related with the block of asset, that is section 41. And then section 40 is cost of asset acquired through amalgamation, gift, will, etc., hold as stock in trade, selling, sold off as stock in trade. So they all will be part of section 40 as such. Okay. After this, now by and large, for my majority of clients, for my major of, say, assessees, business profession provision would mean this much. Okay, what is taxable under section 26 and then this 39, then say what all deductions are available, depreciation related provision. By and large, for majority of the cases, this much would be, say, business income provisions, computation part. But then we all know there are number of, say, special cases, even in present day income tax also. You have that section 35 talking about scientific research related expenditure. You have 35D where certain businesses capital expenditure are given 100% deduction. You have preliminary expenditure deduction. You have skill development project. You have agriculture extension project. Number of special provisions are there. You have provisions related with the foreign exchange fluctuation, how they have to be handled. You have something called section 43 CB, specific calculation of income in certain cases. So number of these special provisions are there. So now they are getting lined up one by one from section 42 onwards. Generally speaking, as I mentioned, for majority of cases, for majority of our client, this will be, say, section 28, 29, 30, 31, till your 38, 39 kind of sections, that the provision should be good enough. But some special cases, some special provisions, and they have been now lined up separately. So special provision with respect to change in the rate of foreign currency, exchange rate changes, 43A is the present section. Now that will be section 42. All these foreign exchange fluctuation, how this will be handled. If the foreign asset has been, say, acquired, the loan in foreign currency has been taken for acquisition of a capital asset or a revenue accounted transaction, how they have been handled. So this will be 43A, 43AA of the present act. Now this will be 42, 43. My preliminary expenditure amortization, section 35D. Now this is 44. Scientific research expenditure, 45. Capital expenditure for specified business, section 35AD of the, say, present act, where we have number of, say, specified businesses. All all these, say, hotel and warehouse and infrastructure and all those specified kind of businesses where capital expenditure allowed can be claimed as a deduction in the year of expenditure itself. Of course, वो नए regime और old regime के बाद में बिन सारे sections की कोई बहुत ज़्यादा value बची भी नहीं है, but still the provisions are there. 35 AD is coming to section 46. We have got certain agriculture extension projects, skill development project deduction for them. Now this is section 47. Tea development account, coffee development account, rubber development account. I'm not sure about city of Calcutta, but probably further down the eastern part, Assam and Guwahati and all those things, a huge number of the, say, tea bagan, tea garden kind of assessees are there. So there all these provisions have got some specific relevance. Tea development account, you deposit money in a particular account and you get a deduction. Coffee development account, rubber development account in South Karnataka and those places, people are claiming huge amount of deduction on account of this rubber and coffee development. So all these 33 AB now would be part of section 48 deduction, okay. Then we have some site restoration fund with respect to this oil exploration entities, what was 33 ABA now the section 49. This is another significant change in this whole new act. So this numbering, this whole AB, AD, AC, B, C, D, J, T, O, P, Q, they all are gone. Now it is serially numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But as I was saying, and this is one of the say very great simplification they are saying, कि सब हम numbers को simplify कर दें, ये A, B, C, D वाला मामला सादा का सादा हमने खत्म कर दिया. What is this 33 ABA and what is this 43B? It is serially numbered. But having said this, if you have read this year's budget carefully, this year's Finance Bill 26, they have introduced one section 353A silently in the new act itself. Okay, so जो change वो करना चाह रहे थे, जो simplification वो करना चाह रहे थे, उसके reversal की भी शुरुआत कहीं ना कहीं अभी से हो गई है. But otherwise, majority of cases, all this say, what was say, some kind of a problem in say memorizing, understanding these hard face numbers, they all are gone. There is no 33 ABA kind of thing. It is say 49, 50, 51, all these special kind of provisions are there in this part of post this section 41, all these various special cases relevant for some special kind of assessees as such. Okay. Then we come to the say major kind of change again, which is say more practically relevant for lot many of our clients, lot many of our assessees. This whole provision related with the presumptive taxation. Okay. So now what is happening with respect to this whole presumptive taxation? As of now, I am having 44 AD for all my eligible assessees carrying on any eligible kind of business, 6%, 8% formula. Then I am having 44 ADA for a specified profession, 50%. And then I have 44 AE, that is with respect to this transport operator, transport business. All these three are now getting converged into one. So there is no more 44 AD, ADA, AE. This will be now onwards only section 58. That is next year, not in the current year. Next year, this will be section 58. All my presumptive taxation provision, तीनों से related, all these three presumptive taxation provision, one single section, section 58. Then of course we have other presumptive taxation provisions also. Normally हमारी understanding presumptive taxation की 44 AE पे खत्म हो जाती है. Maximum cases this is 44 AD, some assessees of 44 ADA, and 1 or 2 cases of 44 AE, and presumptive taxation provisions are over for practically for all of us. Okay, but legally speaking, actually speaking, there are other presumptive taxation provisions also, mainly applicable for non-residents. Okay, so royalty and fees for technical services in the hands of non-resident, we have a presumptive taxation provision for them also. Non-resident head office expenditure, a non-resident entity is having a branch in India, head office is somewhere outside India, so the say related proportionate expenditure of that head office can be claimed as deduction by that branch. We have a special provision for this also. Certain other activities, say shipping business and an airline business of non-resident, for them also there are some presumptive taxation provision even today also. So all these are now, numbers are getting changed. 58 is the main presumptive taxation provision for all of us. Then we have 59, 60, 61 also. Okay. Now, with respect to this 58 presumptive taxation, okay, one very important change, that is by default or that is by design, I don't know, but this is there. And this requires a specific note for by all of us from next year. That means from TY 26-27, a very significant change with respect to this presumptive taxation. What they are saying, or before this, let's come to the formatting of it. Yeah, before I come to that important change, let's just develop an idea about the formatting. So now what is happening? It is actually getting converted into a table. All these provisions which were there separately in separate sections, तीनों के तीनों सर एक साथ consolidate होके एक section में आ गए हैं, and now they are getting consolidated into one single table. For all of us who are already familiar with this provision, so reading this table, reading this provision would not pose a problem. But otherwise, I feel that the language has probably got a little bit more complicated as compared to the, say, existing language. Let's see what exactly the language is. Now, what they say, the profits and gains of any specified business or profession, as mentioned in column B of table below, carried on by an assessee specified in column C of that said table, having total turnover or gross receipts of the business or profession during the year specified in column D, and computed in the manner specified in column E thereof, shall be deemed to be the profits. So all the provisions are now linked with the different columns of the table. Okay, it's a say 4-column table which they are giving, और हर column में एक aspect वो cover कर रहे हैं. What is the type of business or profession, that is covered in column B. The type of assessee which will be eligible for this particular provision, that is in column C. The criteria, the threshold criteria, the turnover threshold, that is in column D. And the actual calculation method is in column E of that particular table. So this is how this table would look like, sir. Column B, any business other than business specified against serial number 2. Column C is eligible assessee. Column D is that turnover threshold does not exceed that 2 crore or that 3 crore if that cash payment condition has been met. And then column E is, say, bank wale turnover ka 6%, other than specified banking mode turnover ka 8%, something like this. So complete that tabular presentation would be there. You can always have your own call whether the existing language was more simple or this kind of presentation is more simple. But this is there now. Now wo ho gaya hai, it is like this only. Okay. So how they are changing that whole presentation, tabular form. Now more important is that subtle change which has been introduced. We all know, even today, the section very clearly says that once you have calculated income as per this 6%, 8%, 50%, something like this, all other expenditure shall be deemed to be allowed. No further expenditure, no further deduction would be allowed. Now the term which they are using, section 58(4), any loss, allowance or deduction allowable under the provision of this act shall not be allowed against the income computed in the manner specified in subsection 1. The point which needs to be noted is the word loss sitting there silently. Any loss, allowance or deduction allowable under the provisions of this act shall not be allowed as a deduction against my presumptive taxation income. तो सर हम सबके पास में बहुत सारे ऐसे असेसीज होंगे जो कोई ना कोई ये 44AD वाला बिजनेस करते हैं और साथ ही साथ वो F&O वाला भी काम करते हैं. मैं ख्याल है पूरे हिंदुस्तान में कोई शहर ऐसा नहीं होगा जहाँ पे ये F&O वाले क्लाइंट नहीं होंगे, और शायद ही कोई ऐसा शहर भी होगा जहाँ पे ये F&O वाले का प्रॉफिट होता होगा. So majority of them are in the loss also. So right now there is one business which is under section 44 AD, and then there is then there is this F&O business which is there in the loss. So this loss, that profit can be adjusted as of now, absolutely no restriction. Now the word which they are using is any loss, allowance or deduction under the provision of this act shall not be allowed against the income computed under subsection 1. So after this, from TY 26-27, this whole business would be taxable on its own without adjustment of any kind of loss. No inter-head loss adjustment, no inter-source loss adjustment. Okay. As of now, if I am having a say business income and I am having loss from say income from house property, I can adjust it. Business income business loss business income and then loss under any other head that can be adjusted. So house property loss can be adjusted against business income. I am having a carried forward business loss, and current year I am having that 44 AD ka business, so that carried forward business loss can be adjusted against this 44 AD business as of now. Now, post Income Tax Act 2025 implementation from TY 26-27, the section is very clear. Any loss, allowance or deduction allowable under the provisions of the Act shall not be allowed as deduction. So any carried forward business loss, AY 26-27 से अगर कोई मैं business loss carry forward करके ले जा रहा हूँ, TY 26-27 में assessee is getting covered under these presumptive taxation provision, so that carried forward loss cannot be claimed as deduction. In the very same year, I am having say presumptive business and a normal business, so that normal business loss also cannot be adjusted with this say presumptive taxation business income. Whether it is by default or it is by design, nobody is sure, but the language is very clear. You can always argue what I was saying, because our finance ministry has said again and again before the parliament, before the select committee, that no policy change has been introduced, only a simplification. So based on this, still the old position would continue, but to what extent this argument would hold good post this new act, I'm not very sure. So now the position is this, कि साहब ये AY 26-27 जो है वो आखिरी साल है हमारे पास में, इन सारे assessees के कोई भी losses वगैरह हैं उनको adjust कर पाने के लिए next year onwards, presumptive taxation business income, the loss carry forward, the loss adjustment would not be allowed. Any loss shall not be allowed against the income. Yes. Income against what? You are carrying forward a loss and then you are having an income taxable under 58, presumptive business. Yes. So against this income, no loss can be adjusted. You can carry it forward for the future year, but that will generate another kind of controversy, whether the loss which cannot be adjusted current year, whether you can carry forward to the next year itself at all or not, or whether this will get, say, abolished in the current year itself. As such, Act में there is no restriction. You can always carry forward. Ki sahab, I was not having any income against which this loss can be adjusted, so I'm carrying it forward subsequently. But for subsequent year also, you need to have a normal business. Then only that loss would be of any use. If it is only presumptive taxation kind of business, then you will not be able to use that loss anytime. Fine. So this is about this loss from the presumptive taxation. Okay. And again, that say overriding effect language, that is getting changed even for 58 also. As of now, in the current act, we were having, say, slightly different languages, and then, say, all these three sections. 44 AD was saying notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained. 44 AD was saying notwithstanding anything contained. And 44 AE was again saying notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained. These all are, say, small issues. But as I was saying, sometimes they become very, very important from a litigation perspective. perspective. So 3 different sections talking about more or less same kind of mechanism, but we are having 3 different languages. Now it is very clear, the provision of section 26 to 54, to the extent contrary to the section, shall not apply to the manner of computation of profit. So that 43B versus this 44AD kind of controversy, in my opinion, now this will get settled because of change in the language of section 37 also, which is corresponding to 43B, and change in the language of that 58 also. Both the places, now the Act is talking about notwithstanding or irrespective of anything contrary to this particular section. So both the sections are operating separately. They are in any case not contrary to each other. So no will have an overriding effect over the other. Something like this situation will emerge going forward. Okay. The last part of this whole discussion, sir, and something probably most dear to our heart, that is all about this accounts and audit. And believe me, sir, major changes are there, not because of the Act, but because of, say, subordinate legislation through the rules and then more importantly through that particular form. Okay, that whole tax audit mechanism, that the reporting requirement, they are getting changed to a great extent. I am very sure because this year in any case we are going to use that same old 3CA, 3CB, 3CD kind of thing. So whatever changes are there, this year they are not having any relevance. So they all will be relevant for us from the next year itself. So what I will be doing, I will not be going into much of the detail, but still would just highlight kind of changes which is coming, the kind of, say, reporting requirement they will be expecting from all of us from the next year onwards. I'm sure probably sometime next year, more or less this time only, you will be having, each one of us would be having a detailed workshop, a clause by clause analysis of this new reporting requirement in tax audit. So that will be a very detailed kind of discussion. But just to give you a basic idea what kind of change is happening and what kind of expectations they are having from the auditors going forward, the change which is there with respect to tax audit requirement. Okay, but before this, what the Act is saying, so provisions of, say, maintenance of books of accounts, present day, section 44AA, now it is there in section 62. Same provision. और हम सब का जो पूरे इनकम टैक्स का सबसे प्यारा जिसको कहना चाहिए, सबसे भला, सबसे अच्छा लगने वाला हम लोगों का सेक्शन, that is the section 44AB. Now this is section 63 of the new income tax. तो एक नंबर जो सर सबसे पहले मेरा ख्याल है याद हो जाना चाहिए, that is the section 63 of the new income tax act. My 44AB is now new section 63. 63 is this tax audit. 263 is filing of income tax return. So 44AB and 139. Now this is 63 and 263. Return would be under 263. Tax audit would be under section 63 of the Income Tax Act 25. Okay. Fine. So audit report. So there will be a tax audit, there will be a tax audit report. Provision would remain same, timelines and everything would remain same. 1 month before the due date of filing of return, the audit report is required to be filed, and then all those basic provision would remain same. Now this is rules 47, which will be, say, giving us this forms. Form number 26. There is no more 3CA, no more 3CB, no more 3CD. तीनों नहीं है. And sir, again and again I am highlighting this, sir. ये सर आज अपन पढ़ रहे हैं, पर इसको अगले साल हमें implement करना है. So this is not going to be relevant for the next year. We are discussing it, but just save it somewhere back of your mind. Okay, just bring out that file again somewhere in the, say, next January, February, March only, once this next year audit season is over. अभी तो वही पुराना वाला ढर्रा सारा का सारा चलना है. This will be for next year. So no 3CA, no 3CB, no 3CD. This will be only one single form, form number 36. So form 36 would have 4 parts, part A, part B, part C and part D. Part B is my current 3CD. Part A is basic information about assessee. All my questionnaire and everything, all these, say, 3CD questions, they are now part of part B of form 26. Then we have part C and part D. Current 3CA is my part C. current 3CB is my part D. So we all would be selecting. There would be an option in the form itself of selecting whether part C is applicable or part D is applicable. Part A and B is in any case applicable for everybody. Then if there is already an audit under any other act, then this will be part C. If there is no audit under any other law, then this will be part D of Form 26. So that is the very first change which is coming. Okay. Now, so my actual feeling is this with respect to this whole change in the act and everything, as probably Vivek ji would also agree and other speakers will also share more or less same thing. In the act as such, there are not much of the changes. वो खाली ये जो structural है, यहाँ का number वहाँ ये categorize हो गया है, ये consolidate हो गया है, वो समझने के अलावा act में as such there is nothing much to be discussed, nothing much to be read carefully. The real change which is happening, that is in the rules and then that is in the forms. The rules which have been just announced, which are still in the say draft stage, but good number of changes are coming in the rules as such, okay. This whole HRA related provisions and then they say certain allowances limit is getting changed, a number of changes are there in the rules. And one step further, the rules in the form, where there is a say real change which is happening. So sometimes I feel that rather than discussing act in such a detail, we would be requiring to discuss forms in greater detail. And that's why I'm saying probably somewhere next year, same time more or less, you would be having a say detailed, probably full day workshop kind of thing about this new Form 26 reporting requirement. I will be just giving you some basic idea, some glimpse into the say change which is happening. So the very first change in the part C and part D, that is my certification, that is the actual auditor's part kind of thing. So where, what they are saying, impact of statutory audit qualification. So what exactly is the requirement of this particular form? Whether any observation, qualification, adverse remark, disclaimer, emphasis of matter has been made by the statutory auditor, whether any observation, qualification, adverse remark, disclaimer, emphasis of matter has been made by the statutory auditor, which would result in variation in income or loss or book profit. Book profit when MAT is applicable. So any remark given in the statutory audit report, any remark given by the statutory auditor, as a tax auditor, I would require to find out whether it would result in variation in income or loss. And if yes, then the effect of such observation, qualification, adverse remark, disclaimer, emphasis of matter in income or loss or book profit has to be given in that particular schedule. On the face itself, which is a main part of that whole form, that is part C or part D, which is actually my certification. So this is not simple question answer kind of thing. It is a more judgmental issue which is coming into picture. So I need to read that statutory audit report carefully. If I myself has done any kind of statutory audit of the company of that particular assessee, it is part D of Form 26, then I am clear that what kind of impact this may have. Statutory audit has been done by somebody else, then I need to examine, study that audit report in a very careful manner, what kind of observation, qualification, adverse remark, disclaimer, emphasis of matter has been given in that particular audit report, and whether it will have an impact on the profits or on the say income or loss or book profit. Now, there has to be a greater degree of analysis of this whole kind of language, which I am sure would be there in times to come. Say for example, emphasis of matter. Now, how can I find out, based on emphasis of matter paragraph in the audit report, whether there would be any impact on the income or loss or not? All my standards of accounting, all my accounting concepts tell me that emphasis of matter has to be given only when the matter has been disclosed in the notes to the accounts, and I am simply referring to that notes to the accounts, that this is the kind of situation, it has been disclosed there. Whether it will have an impact on income or loss, I need to follow a judgmental approach. I need to do a detailed analysis, understand what are the say issues involved, and based on this whether it will have any variation on income or loss or book profit. If yes, then I need to report it. So the responsibility of tax auditor is increasing a lot. So this is the first very important change, expanded scope. Yeah. So his query is the bank statement has not been provided. I can generate 10 more queries on this. Say, for example, there is a difference in the stock figure submitted to the bank and the stock figure mentioned here. And there may be genuine reasons for this. Whether this will have an impact, and say presently also number of cases income tax officer raised this query कि साहब आपका बैंक का stock differ कर रहा है, यहाँ पे stock differ हो रहा है, and we have number of say decisions in favor of assessee where tribunals have accepted that there may be a say difference, but it doesn't mean there has to be any impact on the say income of the assessee. So there will be number of these kind of situations. What as a tax auditor I am supposed to do? Not very clear as of now. These are say very initial days that the form is just out, barely a month is there, this form has been out, and that's why I'm saying again and again, probably next year you will be having a detailed discussion on all these topics. Somebody probably more knowledgeable than me would be having all those issues, but we all will require a detailed discussion. What do you mean by, say, the kind of language which they are using? Observation, qualification, adverse remark, disclaimer, emphasis of matter. Now, what do you mean by observation? And whether observation will have an impact on my income or loss. The example which you are giving, that say some document is not available. That is an observation only. उस observation का income या loss पे कोई impact होगा या नहीं होगा, ये कैसे पता लगेगा? But then it is there. So major changes happening, major impact would be there on the tax audit. Okay, so first is this whole impact of statutory audit qualification. Now come to this another part of it. Some small changes, but I am sure major implications. In my opinion, and to the best of my information and according to examination of books of accounts, including other relevant document explanation given, the particulars given in Part B, that is current 3CD, are true and correct, subject to the following observations, qualifications. Okay, so वो जो भी Part B में, yeah. वो जो भी पार्ट बी में क्वालिफिकेशन दिया हुआ है, जो भी मेरे जो भी क्वेश्चन आंसर्स हैं उनके बारे में मेरे क्या ऑब्जर्वेशंस है वो अभी भी हम देते हैं. बहुत सारे सब इसमें ये नहीं मिल रहा, इसमें ये नहीं मिला, इसमें हमारा ये मानना था. नाउ सी द सेकंड कॉलम ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर टेबल. इट इज इन द टेबुलर फॉर्म. ओके, सो क्लॉज नंबर, यू हैव टू मेंशन दैट पर्टिकुलर क्लॉज नंबर. लास्ट कॉलम, व्हाट इज योर ऑब्जर्वेशन. द मिडिल कॉलम, व्हाट इज द टाइप ऑफ योर क्वालिफिकेशन. टेस्ट चेक बेसिस, based on management representation, unable to verify. I am sure when the utility would come, there will be a drop down for this. So that drop down would be giving me 3 options as such. I hope they give me at least a 4th option, any other. If they pinpoint me only with these 3 options, what are your observations? I have verified this on test check basis. I have verified this based on management representation. I have verified, I am not able to verify it. So all those 10,000 से ज़्यादा का वो payment account पे ही check के through हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है, we all make a simple observation. We are not in a position to verify. We write a detailed text of this. Okay. Now this is becoming more machine readable kind of thing. There will be a clear cut drop down, unable to verify. And tomorrow probably there might be a query why you were not able to verify with respect to all those tedious details. We always maintain, we always write based on test check basis. Institute has suggested some paragraph which is to be written that based on say auditor's judgment and materially concept and blah blah blah, everything which nobody reads, nobody understand actually, we write it. But now it is getting more clear, more pinpointed, more machine readable form. So probably a detailed documentation of every answer which I have given, what basis I have verified, this much I have verified based on management representation, this was the say test check item, this I am not able to verify. All these detailed observations are required to be given. Pinpointed reporting which is happening. Now, additional reporting which is coming. This is main 3CD, part B. The accounting software used for maintenance of books of accounts in the computer system. I need to answer this. Details of any cloud or any other software used for storage of books of accounts along with locations, internet protocol address and country of such storage. So there are clients who maintain data, maintain their books of accounts on say QuickBooks. Now as an auditor, I know या QuickBooks नाम का कोई सॉफ्टवेयर होता है, उससे वो सब रिपोर्ट आ जाती है, क्लाइंट तो प्रिंट आउट भेज देता है, हम ऑडिट कर लेते हैं. Now I need to see that in which country the server is located, what is the IP address of that particular server, where the data is getting stored needs to be mentioned, okay. Whether provisions of rule 46, that is regarding this whole backup, if yes, furnish address of location where the backup server is located in India. Where the backup server is located in India, that needs to be mentioned because they are bringing a provision which is already there in the Company Act. Now in income tax also, rules में they are making a provision कि सब आपका data अगर किसी दूसरी country में store होता है, तो you need to have a backup server somewhere located in India. So I need to examine all these things, I need to report all these things, where the data is located, what is the IP address, in which country that the server is located. So all these now getting part of my reporting, the additional reporting requirement. Okay, and then the complete pattern of reporting is getting changed. For every question, there is a yes or no kind of option. If this is applicable, no, matter ends. If yes, then there is a schedule. Fill up that particular schedule. So it is getting more pinpointed, more accurate kind of things. Sometimes, as of now, there was possible to find some way around something not reported or reported with some use of language, some jugglery of language, something may was possible somewhere. But after this whole new pattern, this will not be there. Very clearly, yes or no. Whether this has been done, it has not been done. Okay, yes or no. If no, it is okay. If yes, whether any adjustment is required to be made to the profit or loss for complying with the provision of income computation and disclosure standard. As of now, even say leaving it blank was also an option. The basic situation is this. With respect to ICDS, nothing has been reported. It has been left blank. Even that was also acceptable. Now it is very clearly yes or no. With respect to ICDS, whether any change is needed, you cannot leave it blank. It has to be yes or it has to be no. No, matter ends. Yes, then there is a schedule. Give all these details in the schedule. So more pinpointed, more machine readable form, we all are hearing sub AI is being used a lot even by the income tax department. That whole Hyderabad Pet Puja software kind of exam incidents must be there in the knowledge of everybody. What kind of detail AI based investigation department has done. And I'm sure they are preparing all of us for that particular age only through this format of reporting where there will be a greater use of AI, greater, say, data analytics by the department. Based on this, probably the auditors would also get questioned by the income tax department. Based on this change pattern of reporting, all these things look quite feasible, sir. Okay, so these are various kind of changes which are there with respect to this tax audit report form 26. I have just given you a very brief idea. We have not done a detailed threadbare analysis which will be required, but this will be required पोस्ट दिस ऑडिट सीजन. एक बार ये एवाई 26-27 वाला मामला खत्म हो जाए, देन वी विल स्टार्ट निगोशिएटिंग विद TY 26-27. So I think I am having this much issues to be shared with all of you. One last point of this whole discussion, this debate is now settled, sir. Okay. Any other sister profession, whether they can go for the tax audit, whether they are eligible for tax audit or not, I think once for all it has been settled. None less than select committee of parliament has mentioned this thing, that only chartered accountants are capable of doing tax audit. So one good thing which is there for the profession is this, that no more this issue would be there. It has been settled now. Okay. So with this, I come to an end to this presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Manish sir, for coming all the way from Indore and taking up such an enriching session. And we know that you have a flight to catch, and it's the right time that we should start, else we may miss the flight as well.
Otherwise, we have to take dinner together.
Otherwise, we could have taken the dinner together as well, sir.